Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be making this workbench. It's got 4 drawers with undermount soft close drawer glides, quick release vise, nice black melamine top just for the YouTube, and no glue sticks to it. And this is all for a hobby of mine, which is making fishing lures, 3D printed, painted, and designed by myself. Link in the description for that if you want to check that out. Enjoy! Alright, let's get this cabinet started. So, what you're going to want to do first is start out by cutting this oversized, so when you actually go to the table saw, you get a much cleaner and accurate cut. It is April 2nd. What is going on? Anywho, now over to the table saw. We're going to cut this down to 30 inches, which will be the height of the cabinet. And then you're going to want to cut it to 23 1/4, because you got to think the face frame is going to be 3/4 of an inch thick. And so then you get your 24-inch deep cabinet. Now cutting all these and cutting the bottom as well to this. This is a full 48-inch wide cabinet. And then breaking out the dado stack so I can make the dado in the center of the bottom panel for the center divider. And using my combination gauge to mark out the sides where the rabbits are going to go for the side panels of the cabinet. And setting my dado stack to 3/8 of an inch thick, which is about half the height or thickness of this plywood. And moving on to the router with the edge guide to cut the rabbits on both sides. Now I didn't show both sides because you really only need to see one side. So with the one side cut, I can go over and do the other side and move on. Alright, now that the dados and the rabbits or rebates are cut, we're moving on to stretchers. Cutting those to length and using pocket holes to attach them to the side panels. But before we can attach those to the side panels, we got to put the side panels in. So we got to spread some glue right there in the dado, and then put the center panel in. And how I'm going to attach this is with some brad nails and some trim head screws, which I don't show right here, but I do show right here. So brad nails, and there's the screws. And attaching the stretchers with some pocket hole screws and glue and pre-finished plywood. That's not going to hold. Yeah, well, the screws will. So, fight me. Oh, watch out, clean shaven face. And moving on from there, we're going to start milling up the wood for the face frames. And with all that milling done, we can head back over to the table saw and get everything cut down to 1.5 inches. Besides this piece, this one gets 4 inches. Cutting everything to length, drilling some pocket holes into everything. Just the stiles, not the rails. And then glue and screws to assemble everything gets us to this point. Well, I done messed up. So, it's flush over here, and it's supposed to overhang 3/8 of an inch over here, but it is in 1/4 inch. So I cut these too short. Also cut these ones too short. So gotta redo it all. after much deliberation, I went to the store and bought a piece of alder because I didn't have enough for what I want to do. So, behold, the piece of alder that is wrapped in plastic from Menards. Now that that debacle's out of the way, we can go ahead and assemble this face frame. And, oh no. Oh, jeez. Oh, come on, dude. Is everything okay? Yeah, everything's okay. Alright, so the top drawers, those are going to be 3 inches deep, so the opening is 4 inches. And the bottom drawers are 6 inches deep with a 7-inch opening. And now putting the cabinet box back up onto the Plywood workbench, spreading some glue to put the face frame on, and clamping it down so it's all nice and flush, and using pocket holes to attach said face frame. Now, I did put pocket holes on the bottom of the big opening and you can see them, but that's okay because eventually I'm going to put a drawer in there. And moving on from there, we're going to drill some holes in this plywood, which is the toe kick. And using glue and pocket holes on pre-finished plywood yet again. Glue isn't going to do anything, but it works. So I'm going to continue doing it. And attaching toe kick onto bottom of cabinet. I talk like caveman. I gotta get this where you guys are. It's not too heavy, but not a lot of room. Sweet. Now, this part isn't very necessary. This is a piece of 1/4-inch plywood that I am just going to use 23 gauge brad nails to attach to the back. Again, this is not necessary, but I did it because it's my cabinet and I can do what I want. And getting this put into place, this isn't going to be its final place. I'm going to move it eventually once I have more room and some shelves out of my garage. So this is where it's going to live for now. Now on to the top. This is just a piece of 3/4-inch melamine, black melamine obviously. And cutting this to I think 26 or 28 inches wide. So, there, oh dang it, I ran out of juice with like 2 inches left of the cut. Perfect. And in no particular order, moving on to drawers. First ones are getting cut to 3 inches wide, or deep. So there's enough pieces right there for the 2 top drawers. And moving the fence over to about 6 inches, ripping these down, and again, just 2 pieces of this is enough for 2 21-inch deep drawers. Perfect. And using my circular saw to cut this plywood down to a more manageable size to send through the table saw. Again. And then going over to the miter saw with a little foot kick to turn on the vacuum, cutting my drawer sides to size, and then back over to the table saw for a 1/2-inch dado in every single piece. And then 4 pieces get the dado cut out of them so the back panel can slide through. The method I use to assemble all my drawers is just glue and brad nails. It is more than strong enough for any drawers. Been using this method for quite a few years. And now cutting all the bottom panels to size so we can just slide them in using some glue, and it just slides right in like that. Couple brad nails to hold it in place, and that glue and brad nails holds it just perfectly. Putting on the hardware for the undermount drawer glides, and they all just click into place. So nice, so easy. And over at the miter saw, I am cutting all the drawer faces roughly to length, a little bit oversized like everything else. You don't want to cut everything to final length until you're ready to. Gluing up the panels for the bottom drawer faces. I think these are about 10 inches wide right now, and they're going to be cut down to 7 or 8. I don't remember. And once again, back at the table saw with the miter gauge now. Scoring off one end and cutting everything to length. And then moving on to the router table. These pieces right here are just the trim pieces that are going around the top edge of the top surface. And then moving on to the top surface, drilling some pocket holes to attach it to the wall, and gluing and brad nailing on those trim pieces, and putting in my quick release vise. I didn't completely show putting this all the way in, don't know why, just this is all I got of that. Moving on to sanding the drawer faces, and then using the sponge sanding pad on my Surf Prep sander to get the rounded over edges on the drawer faces. These Surf Prep sanders are awesome. I got a tip for you right here. Alright, I'm going to show you a trick on how I install my drawer faces not being on the cabinet, because this way is so much easier and you get, it just works. What you're going to do is you're going to grab your doohickey. This is a doohickey. Set it at 1 inch, right there. Push it up against there. Push it up against there. That's your up and down. You're going to take your tape measure. You're going to measure it. I know it needs to go that way, so it needs to go quite a bit that way. Do that. You just measure it until it's equal on both sides. Now this really only works for undermount drawer glides. Look at that. It's lined up on both sides. Got an even gap right there. I'll put the other two on and show you close up. And finally on to finishing. This is just a Minwax Helsman water-based clear finish. I did 2 coats, sanding lightly in between. And that is the end of it. Here's the finished cabinet. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you could, leave a like if you liked the video. Subscribe if you feel I earned it. And I will see you on the next